Sagar sir is currently working as a director in Government of Canada. Apart from that, he is also a professor in the University of Ottawa since 2013, teaching information systems, management skills, and management accounting. Sagar sir started his career in the year 1985 as an apprentice engineer with Sudarshan Chemicals Industry Limited, and now Sir has nearly 35 years of rich experience in private and public sector in manufacturing, information systems, finance and service management transformation, considering 12 years in India and 23 years in Canada. Let me mention this with special pride that Sagar sir is an alumnus of IMDR and has completed DBM and MDBA in the year 1989. He has also done his MBA from Canada. He is a professor, he is a professional accountant, ICWA equivalent in Canada. Sagar sir has completed several industry-leading certifications such as ITIL, CPIM, Change Management Professional, etc. Special mention about Sagar sir is from time to time he also volunteers to mentor the newcomers to Canada and international students in the University of Ottawa. On November 2012, Sir was awarded Queen Elizabeth Diamond Jubilee Medal from the Governor General of Canada for his services to the Canadians. Also, Sir was awarded the Extra Mile Award 7 times by the Government of Canada for his outstanding contribution to various projects. I feel privileged to get an opportunity to introduce such a dynamic alumnus of IMDR and once again welcome him back to IMDR virtually. Also, it's our privilege to have a professor with us on the occasion of Teachers' Day. Sir, we all are eager and excited to hear you share your experience and wisdom with us. We look forward to a value addition session. Over to you, Sagar, sir.
Okay, thank you, Pranim. It's very nice to meet all of you this morning. It's around 7 o'clock here in Ottawa, Canada, and I believe it is around 4:35 p.m. in India, in Pune. So I'm really happy that you're all here to participate and talk to me and talk to yourself during the discussions on this interesting topic. I would like to make it interesting in a way that I would like to present some information. I do want to say that I'm not an expert in any of the field that is mentioned, but I have worked in that field, so I would like to share my experience with all of you. I would appreciate when you have any question, if you can turn your video on, that will give it more interactive nature. That being said, if you are not comfortable, I'm absolutely fine to answer your questions without your video being on. So that being said, I will start. If you don't mind, I will turn off the video because that will give us more network connectivity. And then I will start talking. Unfortunately, I don't have any slides because I think it gives more free flow conversation when we don't have slides. It feels restricted when you have slides for such an informal discussion that we are going to have this morning. So once again, before I start, I would like to thank you, IMDR. I would like to thank you, Dilip sir, Shruti madam, and the IMDR staff and all of you for being here today. So let us start. I'm going to turn, as I said, I will turn off my video for now, and then I will turn it on when we have the questions. Okay. So first thing that I would like to talk to you this morning is about the COVID and how COVID has impacted Canadians and what are the different measures that Canada has taken. Of course, there is ample information available on internet, so you can certainly go and take a look at those that information available, which will be more precise in terms of numbers and facts. What I would like to share with you is what I have experienced living in Canada. But what my family has experienced, what my students have experienced and are experiencing, my colleagues in my office where I work. So number one, probably you are all aware that the population of Canada is around 36 million people. To put that into perspective, capital of the Delhi, I heard it is around 30 million. So just that capital of Delhi is kind of spread. You take that population and spread it in a big country, which I think geographically is one of the largest countries in the world. So if you divide that, it gives you very ample scope. In my mind, make your infrastructure and management of the citizen expectations much easier because the population is only 37 million. Now that being said, Canada does have its own challenges, particularly because of the weather. Now, I do want to say that in Canada, we say that from November to up until March, the weather is really cold. As I was saying, in normally in January, February timeframe, our weather goes down to -20, -30. Sometimes I have seen even going down to -50. That being said, life still goes on. People are used to working in that kind of cold conditions, and we all have our homes that are heated, our offices are heated, the buses are heated, the cars are heated, so on and so forth. Now, I mean, when you live in those kind of circumstances, you need to be mindful of weather for sure when you look into the country's economy. Therefore, Canada doesn't have a lot of manufacturing activities in the country. So we depend a lot on other countries, particularly we are neighboring to the US. Same like India, we have some manufacturing coming from different parts of world. Uh, we have the suppliers coming from Europe, from Asia, from South America, so on and so forth. So now, in terms of Canadian economy, if you see the GDP of Canada is around 1.7 trillion US dollars, which in comparison to India, India is 2.71 trillion dollars. What makes big difference is the population, because if you look at the GDP for per capita for Canada, it is 46,000, around $46,000 US dollars, and the GDP per capita for India is around $2,000. Now that makes a big difference when it comes to managing a big country, geographically big country, but with small population. So COVID, the impact of the COVID in Canada was mainly because of the travel. The people coming from different parts of the world visiting Canada, or Canadians who were outside and who came back to Canada. And the third impact, in my opinion, was from the travelers from the US. Canada has a big trade with USA because that's our neighboring country. It is a big country, and we are like a small brother to the US. So we depend a lot on the US. That being said, Canada did really well in my mind during the COVID, or handling the COVID situation. Same like some other countries in the world, when it happened in January, a lot of people probably did not take it seriously. Canada was actually well aware of the situation, probably starting in February, they started monitoring it. And by the time we came to mid-March, everything was very well planned by Canada in order to deal with this pandemic, which was by then declared as a global pandemic. So what Canada did initially, so as what India did, India probably did it a little bit later, but in Canada we were locked down immediately in the month of March. We were all asked to stay home, working from home, and surprisingly, the working from home transition happened very quickly and very effectively. When you talk about that kind of environment, the important thing when you work from home comes with two important things. Number one is the technology to support working from home, and number two is ethics, which is the trust in your employees, in your students who are going to do their work from home. Now, that being said, Canada probably, in my mind, was digitally advanced to handle that situation. So much so that, in my mind, most of the Canadians have their laptops. Most of the Canadians have very good, excellent internet connection, and therefore connectivity becomes a really good thing. Because of that, even though, so in Canada, the financial fiscal year ends on 31st of March. So all the companies, most of them, I should not say all, most of them have their financial year end in end of March. Because this pandemic happened around mid-March, there was an impact on the financial statements production or preparation, but that was not too much of delayed. It was delayed probably until maybe May or June, and then by then all the financial statements were prepared. Now I'm talking about Government of Canada where I work, but I believe in the private sector it was the same thing. So now in terms of economic help or economy boost that Government of Canada provided as part of this uh, uh, as part of the economic support to the Canadians and to the economy in general, they actually targeted it in a few manners. So number one, they first of all the citizens. So because a lot of people lost their job, particularly people in the travel industry or people where you are expected to be in person and you can't work from home, they actually announced some kind of allowance which they call serve, which we call it. It's basically the aid that they provided, which was $2,000 per month for 7 months. Now these $2,000 are Canadian, and what they did is if you are working and if you lost your job or if your job is impacted because of the COVID, they said we will give you $2,000 per month for 7 months, and that is still continuing right now. They also gave $600 one-time special funds to disabled people, and they also provided close to $1,200 per month for 4 months to the students. In Canada, government supports the students really well in terms of the subsidy student loans, and students also are able to find a job on campus or outside of campus. And if they could not find a job, for example, if they're working in small stores or coffee shops or restaurants, now they won't be able to work for a certain amount of time, so therefore they were given $1,250 per month for 4 months. This is for the period when during the summertime when students are mostly working. In Canada, the education semesters, they work mostly in two parts. One is in the fall, which starts now actually in September, goes to the December, and then winter semester, which starts in January and goes up to April. And most of the times there are very less number of courses offered from May to August, and that's where the students work most of the time. Now, besides this, Canada also announced some packages for the small business owners. To give you an example, they announced actually web subsidy. So, for example, if a small business owner lost his revenue because of COVID, they actually and were not able to pay the full wages to their employees. They actually decided to pay part of the wages. So, Government of Canada provided them wage subsidy. Also, they provided them some interest-free loans to take care of the business during that time. They also provided them some kind of subsidy if required on the rent or the lease that they were paying every month. So small businesses were impacted. There is no question about that, because they actually, a lot of them are, when we talk about restaurants and travel industry and all those kind of small businesses, there was a big impact initially, particularly when there was a lockdown. In Canada, fortunately, we are still allowed to go outside. We still go. I go for a walk every single day with my wife. We go for long walks because of it's the streets are empty. Normally they are empty anyways, but right now it is actually much better for us to go for a walk. But inside any mall or inside any store, inside any even if you are planning to do household function, there are currently limits, and those are strictly followed in Canada. So it's mandatory to wear the mask everywhere we go. So that is preventing a lot of the spread of COVID. Currently, the spread of COVID is actually really in control, particularly because of the measures that Canada has taken so far. Just this month, the Canadian students went back to school, Uh, as I said, the school year in Canada starts in September, and that applies to all the schools, particularly even the middle school, the primary school, and the high school. Their term starts in September and they go all the way up to end of June. Now they are all back to the school, but it's not mandatory. It's up to the parents to decide whether they want to send their kids to school. Alternatively, the school has provided opportunities to work or to study from home. In my case, for example, I'm going to teach a course starting actually this Tuesday, and that course is going to be virtual. And it's all because most of my students are outside of Canada. I'm going to teach a master's course, master's in engineering management and MBA. And most of my students are going to be they are going to be joining the course from Asia, and then people from Europe, Africa, Israel, Hong Kong, all in South America. So this is really first time, and we are all excited as much as we are nervous at the same time because we don't know what to expect. But we are ready, in my opinion, to tackle with that. Coming back to the economical boost that the government of Canada has given, it has helped agriculture industry, airlines, heritage industry, sports industry by announcing special packages to them because they were impacted a lot because they all need interaction in person, right? On top of that, I would like to just give some quick numbers. For example, Canada has provided $107 billion in stimulus package just for COVID. This is the number as of June, which I believe will change and will give probably more funding as the situation will evolve. They also provided $55 billion in tax referrals to the Canadians and to the small business owners and the businesses in general. And they also provided $52 billion to the individual and to businesses as well. So in general, Canada, in my mind, is doing really, really good in terms of providing those stimulus packages, providing subsidies, providing students with some financial support, providing small businesses with the support. They're also injecting a lot of money into the healthcare to try and find out the vaccine for the COVID. They're also restricting the travel back and forth. So coming to Canada is almost right now impossible. It is restricted. You need to be very, of course, same like India, you have to have your quarantine and things like that. But it is recommended that Canadians don't travel because all the European countries, I think 14 of them, they are allowing Canadians to travel to their countries because all these European countries, they actually depend a lot on their tourism for their income. And therefore, they allowed, I think, 14 countries in the world to travel, and Canada is one of them. Now, this is in terms of economical impact that I have seen, and because I am a stock investor, so I invest a lot in the stock market. I do keep an eye on these kind of things just to see what sectors are doing good, what sectors are falling behind. So one thing that I do want to mention, as your fellow students and from your learning perspective, I do want to mention that in my experience and what I've seen in the last 30 years, there is every 10 years there is recession that is happening for one reason or the other. This used to be longer cycles before. Now they are actually every 10 years. To give an example, in 2000, 1999, 2000, there was Y2K. Probably some of you were very young back then, or probably toddlers. But that was the first time that I experienced the recession in my professional career that I experienced actually, or I felt. Then came 2008-9, around that time when the US financial market collapsed. That was the second time that impacted the market. And the third time is now, which was in 2020. So I was, as an investor, I was expecting some kind of recession happening in 2020, but I did not expect this kind of thing, which is, once in a century kind of event that happened. And therefore, it impacted the stock market. So I do want to say that in Canada, our stock market is mainly focused around two things. I will say one is we are very rich, in the minerals and metals. For example, Canada, the two world's largest gold producers, they are from Canada. Of course, they have their mines across the globe, but they are based in Canada. So we are into minerals because Canada is has a beautiful nature, and we are actually blessed with the natural resources. The second thing that I've noticed in Canada is very big is banking. Canada doesn't have the banking structure same as what we have in India. In India, I have seen there are several layers of banking. For example, there are cooperative banks, there are scheduled banks, there are national banks, things like that. Even there are union members, they have their own credit societies and stuff like that. In Canada, we have six big banks in Canada. Actually, we call it five. So they are all they are not owned by the government. They are all owned by uh, investors. So basically they are listed on the stock market, and government does not interfere in their day-to-day business. At the same time, there are some couple of small banks that exist, but apart from that, the banking industry is monopolized by the major banks. And when the recession happens, I'm just going to share my own experience. When the recession happens, there are certain sectors that are, that get impacted. To give an example, what I have experienced in my investment life of last 20 or 25 years, the number one thing that any country like to do is infrastructure. They would like to pour a lot of money into infrastructure. And the reason for that is when you pour money into the infrastructure, it automatically builds industry around it. Because, for example, if you're building a bridge or if you're building a highway, it creates jobs, number one. Number two, it creates jobs in the supporting industry because there are a lot of sub-industries that are that will get jobs because of that. Because of that, the banks will start giving away loans. So therefore the financial market will get active. People will start working. Therefore they will go do shopping. They will buy groceries. They will buy clothing. So that helps boost uh, the consumer market. Also, people would move to that area, so they will need housing. So they will either buy properties or they will rent properties. That actually provides the stimulus to the housing market, and that keeps going. Because of that, then when people live in that area, there is healthcare that happens in that area, and therefore it all gives boost to the healthcare industry because you need doctors, you need medical stores, so on and so forth. So anytime there is recession happens, as much as we see that there is a big impact on the world, there is also big impact on the market and on the economy, and it goes down, but it comes back again. And what I've seen is it takes only few days to go down. For example, when the COVID-19 happened, the pandemic, on March 26th, the market collapsed drastically on one single day. I think it went down during that period. I was following it for in 3-4 days. It went down by almost 26, 27%. People who were smart, I was not one of them, but people who were smart were buying stocks during that time. And by now, actually, we are in September. So in the last 6 months, the market has come back almost to the level where it was before it dropped down. So that gives a really, really good boost to the economy. Of course, that is my experience as an investor, as a father, as a teacher, as a government employee. Uh, what I've seen, because I'm also closely following the situation in India, and I'm also very much interested in seeing the impact of all this. No one knows where we are heading. No one knows what is the outcome of this, when this is going to go away. We are all expecting that this will go away soon, and we will be able to find out some kind of he- uh, uh, healthy solution to this as in the next few months. And I'm hoping, because there are a lot of companies. Particularly, I read in Forbes that Pfizer, one of the big giant pharmaceutical company in the US, has actually almost asked all their research and development team to work on finding a vaccine. Uh, the other good thing that I read is that this is first time that has happened, that almost all the pharmaceutical companies, all the countries in the world are coming together to work on vaccine, finding vaccine. So they're actually collaborating. They're sharing their research findings with each other. They're discussing. They're meeting frequently to find a solution to this pandemic that we are all going through right now. So on that note, so I know I went over time because I said I'll speak for around 15 minutes, but I think I took more time. So Shruti, I hope that is not a problem. I just
No, no
want to
issues,
stop
sir.
there.
No, no issues, sir.
Okay, thank you for that, Shruti. And I will open the forum for the questions. Please feel free to ask the questions. And one thing that I do want to mention to all of you is don't be shy. This is your opportunity to ask questions, and we all have our own challenges when we ask questions. For one, I used to stutter a lot in my life when I was young, and I was always picked on because of that in my high school days or in my school days. And since then, I wanted to become a teacher. I wanted to teach in the environment where I could go and stand on the podium and talk to people. And trust me, it comes, it gives you tremendous confidence. And I'm not saying it just to say, but just 2 months back, I spoke to 3,500 employees of my department where I work, because I'm a visible minority champion for my department. And not only that I spoke in English, but I also spoke in French, which is my fourth language. And I'm not good in French at all, but it gives me a good confidence booster. So every time I find that opportunity. So please feel free to ask questions. Don't be shy. Okay, I'm going to turn my video on. So I'm not sure, Shruti ma'am and
Yes, yes.
Dilip sir, you want to do the same thing, but I'll do that. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I'll switch it on.
Okay.
Yes,
Good.
yes. So,
Okay. Thank you.
yes, sir. So,
I request everyone.
yeah,
Yes,
please.
ma'am.
Yes,
Please go ahead.
Pradyum.
Yes, I request everyone to either raise your hand or unmute yourself and ask the questions.
Hello, sir. I would like to ask a question. I am Dr. Abhijit Chune, faculty member here. I would like to ask a question. My video is not good, so I will continue with audio only.
That's
That I
fine.
would like to ask a question related to education.
Okay.
Uh, uh, I don't know whether you have studied in India or abroad, and we always discuss about education and education policy. And what do you see? What kind of difference do you see in Indian education and Canadian education, particularly higher education?
So, Abhijit sir, I'm going to talk about that in few minutes from now about the education in Canada. But in order to answer your question, in my opinion, there is a big difference between the two. That what I've seen. So I did my education, a lot of it in India, and I done a lot of education in Canada as well. And now I'm a part-time professor in the university. So I've seen education world very closely. So number one difference that I've seen is that Indian education system is actually, in my mind, is better in a way than Canada. And I'll tell you why. Because in Canada, the education system is it is of course more focused on the practical experiences, uh, but also in my mind, in India we focus a lot on academics and getting better into the academics part of it. In my mind, that gives really good fundamental teachings. Now I'm talking about this 25 years back when I was in India, so things might have changed now and maybe things are a bit different. But so I think that is one thing. That being said, I do believe there are a lot of benefits of the way education happens in Canada, because it is more collaborative, because it is more practical, and because there are certain aspects of your personality that are focused on. It certainly develops the personality of the students rather than just focusing on the academics part of it. So I will say that in India there is more academic interest and more. We are fortunate to have that in India, but as against that in Canada we are focusing more on the development of the students per se. To bring them to the like. Uh, Dilip sir, we from coming from the practical background, we actually try to put those values in there. What do they need in order to be successful in the industry and in their career going forward?
Oh, that's great, sir. Sir, I have another question related to industry.
Thank
How
you, sir.
has the
You're welcome.
sir, uh, I'm sorry, Shivane sir.
Yes.
Sir, my question is, how has the COVID situation affected the education field in Canada?
Dilip sir, it has impacted a lot, honestly,
Mhm.
because of the COVID, no one was actually prepared to do the
Mhm.
online courses. So, for example, when this happened in March,
Mhm.
including myself, we were in the middle of the winter semester. We had just finished our March break, and then we were going into the second part of the semester, and all of a sudden everything became online, and we were not equipped to do that. Now, this is a big surprise, even living in an advanced country like Canada, where the education system was not prepared to go online. Even though online education, if I'm not wrong, started way back, if I remember, 1998, when the first online degree was offered in Canada. And so that was a big change. We are still overcoming the challenges that we face on as part-time professors. The thing is, students are also not very well mentally prepared. So it's more about the stress rather than the preparedness of the education. Fortunately, the slides that we would use. So from the values and the quality of the education perspective, it has remained same. But everything else around it's the platform, the technology has brought more challenges to us. So
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
you're welcome, Dilip sir. So in the interest of time, if there are no more questions, probably we can move on to the next topic.
Yes,
Shruti
sir.
ma'am.
Yes, sir. We should move to next topic. One question is there regarding investment. So I think we should take this question at the end. It is ready to invest.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So the next topic that I'm going to share with you is actually what I learned from IMDR. Sorry, the what I learned from IMDR when I was there for 3 years in IMDR. So the reason why I chose IMDR, number one, is that back then I had done my diploma in electrical engineering, and after doing diploma, I started working in my first job, which was Sudarshan Chemical. I was very young back then. I was only 18 years old when I started my first job, because the diploma that I did was after grade 10. So it was grade 10 after 3 years diploma after that, and then I started working. So I was looking for opportunities to improve my qualification, my knowledge, and meet with some more people, so expand my network. And no other institute would allow me to do diploma in business management. And IMDR was one such an institute that was allowing them with the DBM, at least for the DBM back then. And as I said, my dad completed his master's in personal management in 1980 from IMDR, so I was actually very well aware of the institute. I went and met with Dr. Sejwalkar, who is the pioneer and who was the founder of IMDR. And I believe back then our director was Mr. Bhopatkar. I'm not sure if that is the right name. But what I found after speaking to them is that this was the right school for me. So I must say that the name was there for sure. Number two, that what I learned from there is the quality of education. Trust me, all my fellow students, the quality of the education that you are getting in IMDR, and I'm telling you because I have done almost 4 or 5 degrees now, and I have done several certifications. My total qualifications are now almost 11 or 12. So probably I have little authority to say that the quality of education in IMDR is excellent. It is world class, and I'm saying it because I'm teaching in Ottawa. So you are all fortunate to be part of the quality of education. I'm going to say one thing though that helped me, and I'm going to ask you to probably do the same thing. The quality of education, all the efforts that Dilip sir, Abhijit sir, Shruti ma'am, they're all doing depends on your curiosity and your ability to learn. It's like a sponge. How much you can absorb from them is up to you. Uh, I'm sure these are all wonderful teachers with wonderful background, and they are willing to work with you. in my case, what happened is I was also very fortunate to have very, very good professors, such as Mr. L.C. Jam. There was Mr. Bhupatkar was also our teacher. We had excellent teachers from the industry back then. And what was different is that the curiosity. So what I'm going to ask you is to be curious. When these qualitative teachers come and teach you, do not just learn from the book or do not just pay attention to what they're teaching on day-to-day basis. Go beyond that and meet with them, ask them questions. To give an example, a very simple example, when you go and buy a coffee from your canteen, or when you go and buy chai from your canteen, be curious why the person is selling chai for 20 rupees. Why not 30? Why not 10? Why not 15? So where that valuation came from? He is a business owner, and the business owner has to manage all the sides of the business, right? So you need to know what is his logic behind that. Like if you are going to start a cafe, that will help you. If you become a manager somewhere, that will help you, because even if you don't plan to own your business, if you want to work as a manager or position, you will be asked to submit proposals for additional resources, additional funding, and this will be very, very helpful. Also be curious about the systems that they are using. For example, go to the library, talk to your librarian. What kind of system they use for tracking the library books? Why did they procure that? What do they do when the books are lost? How do they manage that? How do they manage student expectations? What kind of discussion happens at strategic level to make a library more functional, more efficient, more effective for the students? Do the same thing with Shruti ma'am, with Dilip sir, with Abhijit sir. The fact of the matter is these people are there to help you to develop your skill set, to help you understand the business. They are there to teach you, right? So in my mind, including Shikha ma'am, they all will be very much interested in telling you the stories, what they learn. And so I do see that, by the way, as a professor, there is always a gap between students and professor. Please make them part of your professional, your educational career. Just don't go there for a lecture, attend the lecture and go home, and then go do an exam and make Shruti ma'am happy because you are getting good grades. That's not the ultimate goal. So that's my second thing that I learned from IMDR, is to be curious. You need to be very your brain should be continuously asking you why. So in my mind, there are five things that you should be asking yourself. Whenever anything is thrown at you, whenever any topic you learn, ask questions like why, what, when, how, and who. Be curious and ask those questions. By the way, when as a director in the government, when I'm conducting interviews, and I conduct tons of them, I ask those I'm expecting people to answer on those kind of things. To give an example, why you are here, what are you doing with that kind of situation, when did it all start, what did you do to fix it, for example, how did you fix it, what was the action that you took, who helped you. So be curious and try to understand those things. And the last thing that I got from the IMDR particularly is the friendships. I still am in contact with some of my batchmates. Now this is going back, like I completed my graduation in 1989. So it's almost now 31 years that I graduated, but I still have some friends from my batch that we are in contact. I'm in contact with IMDR, as you can see, and this is a wonderful thing. I'm meeting with people like Shikha ma'am, Shruti ma'am, and Dilip sir, and Abhijit, and I would like to continue that. So I'm hoping some of you will reach out to me through my LinkedIn account, uh, reach out to me, connect with me, ask me more questions, or be curious. Let us engage into the discussion, right? Because this is a lifelong experience. Right? You are not going to stop here. You will continue to learn from that. So those are my takeaways from IMDR, and that helped me in my 35 years of career in two different countries, and I've changed jobs several times and at different levels. So I'm hoping that will help you to some extent. Again, in the interest of the time, Shruti ma'am, if you're fine, we will go to the next topic.
Yes, yes,
And
sir.
then, okay, good.
Yes, please.
Thank you. I mean, I would like all of you to take, note of the things that are of interest to you and ask me question, that is absolutely fine. Okay, later on when we will be in the question answer session. The next thing that I want to talk to you is about the education and learning opportunities in Canada, as Abhijit sir was asking. By the way, I mentioned it to Shruti ma'am. I feel very awkward to say sir and madam, because I've been living in Canada for 23 years now, and even when I meet my CFO, who is at the senior deputy minister level in the government, I call him by his first name. So please refer to my first name. I know it is going to be difficult. Shruti ma'am told me that. So rather than asking you to change, I'm changing myself a bit, and I'm calling you sir and ma'am. But please treat me at your level. We are all colleagues and we work together. So therefore, the respect is already there in my mind. Right? We don't need to show it from that point. But I'm absolutely fine. I'm mindful of the Indian culture. So now, talking about the education and learning opportunities in Canada, I should say they're wonderful. There are a few reasons for that. Number one, we have good schools in Canada. Most of my students, and I've been teaching for last almost 8 years now, most of my students are coming from India particularly are doing really well. Some of them are in contact with me. They find the courses here very how do you say, they find them more practical, and they find them actually more effective as well in terms of finding a job going forward. And of course, they are all smart students coming from India, so they're all actually doing well in their career. In terms of opportunities, once they finish their master's program, most of my students come from India to do their masters. They have excellent opportunities because they can get a work permit to work here in Canada, and that way they can actually work. They can find opportunity, and once they get their work permit, they can get what we call the permanent residency in Canada. And once they get permanent residency, after 3 years, they can apply for the citizenship and then get the citizenship. So it takes around total 5 years to go from you being a student to being a citizen. Sorry, I should say roughly 7 years, because if you add your 2 years of master's degree. Now, some people I've seen do master's degree within 10 months. Some people do it 12 months, and some do it in 16 months, but it is up to you. The cost of master's degree I've seen it is around, in Indian terms, it is 25 lakhs total. But lot of students, they work and they make enough money. I think they make around $1,000 per month, roughly working part time, which is around 50,000 Indian rupees, 55,000. So therefore, they can support themselves very well, and they all live together. So their cost of living is very low. Cost of internet is a bit expensive in Canada, but generally the cost of living is low in Canada compared to the US. And because of the citizenship factor, learning and educating yourself in Canada is actually very beneficial. Plus, that qualification is accepted in the US, so you can always work in the US if you want, right? I mean, that opens a lot of doors. I'm not a big fan to go to the US because of the quality of the life. I'm very happy with the quality of life we have here in Canada. My son grew up here. Now he's a chartered accountant in Canada, and he himself is very happy to be staying in Canada compared to looking outside. That being said, if opportunity comes, and it is always worth considering, but there are a lot of factors to consider. So the last thing that I do want to mention about education and learning is that I've seen the professors here also come from a diverse background. They come from different countries. They come from different educational background, and they are all very smart people. Same like in India. So in terms of the quality of the education, it is also good. We are of course bound by the different norms in the university, and probably they are a little bit more strict compared to the norms in India. In India, but I do believe they are very good for students and for the professors to maintain the education quality. So that is about the education and learning in Canada. And the last thing that I do want to talk to you about is my personal experience and some advice and tips for students based on my experience in Canada in 23 years and in India for 12 years. So first of all, I do want to say that I came to Canada in 1997 with 2 bags in my hand and $4,000 in my pocket. So I was not rich. I'm still not rich. I'm doing well for my for my quality of life. But when I landed here in Canada, I always remember the first day. 2 bags and $4,000 was not going to take me long. So only thing I could do is hard work. And by the way, this is not just my story. Every single person coming to Canada goes through that. So it's not like I'm a special case. It's for everyone. What is important is how you take that as an experience. And I will tell you, first 6 months were very difficult. The weather was really bad. I landed in Canada in November, and the day I landed, there was a big snowstorm that we had. Many centimeters of snow. I was not equipped with that, and it was a big shock to me, a very big shock, because right from the next day I started looking around for the job. And what I did is, back then internet was not the connectivity was there, but Hotmail was new, Yahoo was new, even the internet connectivity was new. So the jobs were, they were just started posting online and things like that. So my goal back then was that every single day I was applying for 3 jobs, and I won't go to bed until I have found 3 jobs to be applied every single day. And that included restaurants, shopping malls. So I went around, I looked for dishwasher jobs, I looked for the jobs as a salesperson in the stores, and no one hired me because of my cultural thing, because of my appearance, because of my language, because I did not know the Canadian market very well. It was difficult. Now I'm seeing a lot of students now. As a matter of fact, I must say one thing, that in last 5 years, a number of Indian students coming to Canada has gone up by 35% because of the reasons what I mentioned earlier. And I see them working everywhere. I see them working in the malls, working in the coffee shops, and in McDonald's and stuff like that. So I think things have changed. All I'm trying to say is that if you work hard, there is a uh, big possibility to find a good job in good amount of time. So as Canada is a land of opportunity, as they say, I was able to find a job within a month. So I was really fortunate to find that job within a month. Uh, I do want to share that because I want to know how I want you guys to know how a guy who was working in Cummins India in Pune, doing the master's diploma from IMDR, is working today as a director in government and is a part-time professor. So there is a journey behind that, which is I'm not going to say interesting, but it is probably a learning experience for a lot of you. So the one thing that I was doing when I decided to come to Canada was actually started doing some computer courses. So even though I was working in manufacturing when I was in India, I decided to do some computer courses. Back then, computers were new. Unix, C, Oracle, they were all new. But I did some courses, and when I came to Canada, I was able to find a job in the programming area. It was very interesting because I did not do well in the programming area, and I'll share with you why I did not do well in the programming area. But it was very painful 3 years of my life that I spent as a programmer. So from the programmer, then I became a consultant, and I switched the line. I went into the consulting. And I was able to do that because I did my certification, 2 certifications during that time. One was Oracle certified professional, and the other one was certified in production and inventory management. That opened the doors for me to go into the consulting and do the what they call functional consulting, which is understanding the business and the systems requirement, information systems requirement. And then one day I thought of joining the government. So I started sending my resumes to people, and I was fortunate because someone helped me to find a job in the government, and that opened doors for me. And when I started working in the government, I soon realized that I need to get my French in order to go up in the ladder. In the government of Canada, you cannot progress beyond manager and up if you don't know French. You need to know French at intermediate level to become a senior analyst, and you need to know French at advanced level to become a director or a manager. So that came as a challenge to me because I wanted to do my MBA from Canada. So when I went to see my director back then, she said, if you get your French, I will sponsor you for your MBA. And that's what motivated me to do my French. So within I think 2.5 years, I did self-study and some part-time learning to get my intermediate French, and that helped me because then she kept her promise and she sponsored me for my MBA. which helped me get my MBA and ICWA at the same time, because it was a 3 years program that I completed. And after that, I became manager in the government. And while doing that, when I was doing my MBA, one of the professors that I had motivated me to start applying for the teaching jobs in Canada. And I was fortunate because I came across one wonderful lady. She is from France, and she is also a professor in Ottawa. But she helped me because she liked my background in the systems world, and then she actually hired me as a professor, part-time professor in Ottawa back in 2013, and I'm still teaching there on multiple courses. But what happened is when I became manager, I wanted to become a good manager. And when I came to that point, I realized that in order to become a director, I need to get my advanced C. So I started speaking with my colleagues who were very nice and very helpful to get my level to that level. And then I got my advanced French, and then I continued my so I became director after that, and I continued my learning. I did my ITIL certification, I did my change management certification. Now I'm looking for something else to do. But based on that, I'm going to share some tips and going to give you some advice. I want actually a lot in my life to give you advice, but I'm just going to share it just in case you find it helpful in your career. So number one that I'm going to say to you is that you need to know your personality. Who are you? That is the most important thing. We try to find out what, for example, when you are in the teaching, when you are in the school, you would like to do what, for example, Shruti madam would like you to do, or what Dilip sir would like you to do. But are you capable of that? Do you have the personality type that allows you to do that? For example, to give an example, in my case, my personality type is not to sit in one place for 45 minutes or an hour and do something by going deeper and deeper. My personality is more multitasking, so I'm more like a generalist than a specialist. So that I found out, and that is the reason why I did not do very well in programming, because back then I did not know that I don't have the personality type to do the programming. So number one advice I'm going to give you is that do not look at your friends and say, oh, because he is blah, 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 I'm going to do blah, blah, blah. It's not going to work for you, because you will be either you will face a lot of challenges, or you can reach to that level and then you will feel more stressed because your personality type is different than that personality type. I'm going to share one resource for that. There is a website called Enneagram. I'll share that resource with Shruti ma'am after the call. Please go ahead and do your personality test and find out what is your personality type, what kind of person you are. Me and my wife, we are two completely different personalities, but because I requested her to do her personality type, we now know why we behave the way we behave in the public, in the common environment, with friends, with families, and things like that. So that's now my number one thing. Number two, I'm going to request you to look very, very seriously into stress management. You need to be able to manage the stress. I'm actually very anxious and very fond of your generation. And I learn a lot from your generation, because you are faced with so many different challenges in your life. There is peer pressure, there's internet, there are so many things going around you, which generally creates a lot of stress. I'm not a stress management expert, but I'm going to give some tips that I use on day-to-day basis. Number one is yoga. So I try to do 40 minutes yoga every single day. No matter what yoga you do, there are a lot of tools that are available, yoga videos available on YouTube, but I follow those, and that helps me a lot. Do meditation. What I do practice a lot is 1 minute meditation. I pause everything and I do 1 minute meditation, which is basically you you sit straight, your foot, your leg and feet firmly on the chair and on the floor, and your back straight, and then close your eyes and do the deep breathing from to scan every part of your body to relax the stress from each part of the body. And trust me, it helps a lot. The other suggestion I have for you is go for a walk, and walk with the senses. Don't just go for a walk. When you're with your friends, go for a walk, understand what is happening around you, be more aware of what is happening around you. Birds singing, the flowers, the tree, people around you, changing in the environment, so on and so forth. The other thing is to be with the positive minded people. Work with the people and work with their positive side rather than looking at the negative side. Okay, because there is that saying, when you point one finger, there are three fingers that are pointing at you. So don't blame people for nothing, because blaming someone else is not going to solve your problem. It will create more problem for you. So just be positive. I'm going to say one thing to you. When you think about stress, there are 130,000 people dying every single day in this world. So because of that, there are close to 1 million people are impacted, who are their brothers, sisters, wife, parents, and friends. If every morning when you get up, if you are not one of those people, you're lucky. You're fortunate to have that day. Why not enjoy it? Enjoy it as a beautiful day. Be it to try to meet at least one new person every single day. Try to learn one new thing every single day, and you will see the change in yourself. You'll be very positive. The last thing that I'm going to say for the stress management is writing a journal. It is proved that if you write journal, why you behave the way you behaved, why you anticipate the behavior of someone as what you perceived it as, try to write down that, write down your thoughts, and you will see that your perception changes of that situation where you are very happy, situation where you're sad, situation where you're mad, and things like that. Rather than analyzing that person's behavior, if you analyze your behavior as a third party, you will see there are a lot of things to learn. Before I end my topic, and Shrutiji, I'm really sorry, I have only 1 minute left from my speech.
Sir, it's okay, sir. We are thoroughly enjoying, sir.
Oh, thank you.
Wonderful,
So,
sir. Please.
okay, so I just try to finish in the next 5 minutes.
Sagar, please take as much time as you want.
Yes,
We are
sir.
enjoying.
Okay, thank you, Dilip sir. So uh, I try to finish with some good points for you now. So number one is always try to learn from others. There is a book that I read. It probably that it's called Seven Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. I was fortunate to read that in 1993, I believe, which is roughly now 27 years back. But that book is one of the key primary books that you should read on the management, because you're all management students. It tells you, number one thing is that begin with the end in the mind. Now, in my case, that did not work because I never thought of myself being in Canada, but what it means is that have some goal in front of you, have some objectives, and when you have that, you will automatically be motivated to do something related to that. In my case, I always say, as much as there are 100 students who are doing right now the postgraduate diploma in business management from IMDR, the person beside you probably is going to be your friend, good friend. How about you look at him as your competitor and see what are the skills that he is bringing to the table that you don't have. What are the things, if you both go to a job interview and if I am interviewing you, what are the things that he is going to impress me with me that you don't have on day-to-day basis. So how can you improve? There are a lot of resources now that are available free. I'm just going to throw one resource out right now. Is, for example, I'm now looking into doing my white belt certification for the Six Sigma. Guys, it is free. It is online. It is free. You don't spend a single penny. If you do this search right now, because they're offering it free, take the opportunity. It looks good on your LinkedIn. It looks good on your resume. And I'll tell you why. You're all finance, like some of you are doing finance. In finance, when we look into the income statement of the financial, for one of the financial statements, income statement talks about revenues and cost. If you are in order to make your company more profitable, you have to increase your revenues or you have to keep your costs down. And in order to keep your costs down, you have to make your processes more efficient. In order to make your process more efficient, you need to re-engineer your process, and you need to think how you can improve your process to make it more efficient. And the tool for that is Six Sigma. It looks into improving the process from Six Sigma perspective, which is basically the number of faults in the per 1 million products that if you're manufacturing. But that certification gives a lot of value. Even at my level, when I'm applying as a director on different positions, they actually ask me, do you have a certification in Six Sigma? So I strongly recommend all of you to take a look at it on the internet after our course today, tomorrow, when you get time. But it's a white belt. It is free right now, and you can do it within a day. So what else you want, right? You probably can sit in front of your computer. By the way, they also provide free study materials for that. Why not do it, right? It's a wonderful opportunity. Similarly, on LinkedIn, there are quite a few free courses that they're offering. Why not take opportunity and do those, right? When you get a chance, they could be about strategic thinking, they could be about communication skills, they it could be about financial skills for non-finance people. There are tons of them. Try and take advantage of that. Uh, Second thing that I'm going to say is read as much as you can. Read the autobiographies, read the management books, read the self-help books, read the financial statements to improve your awareness of the business, awareness of the market, awareness of the economy, the political situation, because roughly there are 5 factors that every single day affect the market. There are economic conditions, there are technological, there are human factors, there are political conditions, and there are financial conditions. So you need to be aware of those if you are in the business area, right? Third thing, as I mentioned, is acquiring qualifications. The reason I acquired those qualifications, and I'm not saying it proudly or anything, it became a routine for me that I kept learning. I'm now 53 years old and I'm still learning. Uh, Please keep learning. Not only that it keeps your brain sharp, but it keeps you motivated and it increases your confidence tremendously. Every time I teach, every time I speak, every time I go to the meetings with my superiors, I always bring some additional value because of those additional qualifications. And then you are always ahead of the competition because you are not behind the competition. You are not doing something as a reaction. You are doing something as a proactive measure to increase your qualifications. The the other thing that I'm going to suggest all of you is to watch the motivational videos. I'm not asking you to watch the motivational, what they call religious videos and things like that, but the speakers who really, for example, Steve Jobs, he has videos online. Warren Buffett, he has videos online. Then Bill Gates has videos online. So take a look at those videos and learn from that. Take notes, literally. Start the video, stop, pause it, take the note of the important thing that you learn, and more interestingly, start using those in your day-to-day life. You will see the benefit of that. People will admire you, they will respect you because they know what you're doing. I'm actually a visual minority champion for the Shared Services Canada, which is basically to respect the multiculturalism in Government of Canada. And as part of that, I do a lot of reading, and I came across one wonderful reading that Nelson Mandela said. He said, none of us is actually born racist. People become racist because they are not aware of the other race and their values and their culture, right? So if you know that, then you start respecting people. Why the African people behave the way they behave? Why a Punjabi guy is behaving the way he's behaving? Why a Marathi person is doing that, right? It will give you broader perspective when you are working in the team environment. So rather than complaining in the team environment, because I'm sure as part of your postgraduate diploma, you are doing a lot of team activities. Do not just say, oh my God, I got into the bad team. Try to see what value that person is bringing to you. Maybe he's really good in doing presentations, and maybe you learn it from him or her that the person is really good in doing the presentations, right? So learn from that you're trying to learn from that, right? So rather than complaining, keep looking at it as opportunities. Other thing that I'm going to suggest to you is be financially savvy. Shruti ma'am is your professor of finance and accounting. Please pay attention to the finance. And when I say finance, pay attention to each of the 3 financial statements: the balance sheet, the income statement, and the cash flow statement. I'll tell you how many times I have seen people who want to say, oh, I don't care about finance because I'm going into marketing. Oh, I have manufacturing background. I'm an engineer. Say I'm not an accountant. um, Friends, it doesn't matter. When you are in the business, when you are a manager, when you are a leader, you need to know your financial stuff because everything works on money. Everything that you want to achieve for your group, for your team, for your organization needs money. And someone is going to ask you why you are asking for that money, and someone is going to ask if someone is going to make you accountable for that. Mind you, there is a difference between being accountable and being responsible. When someone is making you accountable, you are on the front line to make sure that those things are happening. And for example, in my case, working as a director, a lot of times I had to put the proposals forward, asking sometimes $500,000, right? I need to be mindful financially why I'm asking $500,000 and what I'm going to deliver as an outcome. So you need to be mindful of those financial statements and be mindful of the facts. For example, if your cash flow is going down, why it is going down? If your profits are going down, why they are going down? If your revenues are increasing but profit is still going down, that means your cost is somewhere going up. So keep a track of that. And guys, you don't need to do a lot of that. If you go to finance.yahoo.com, there are financial statements. I read them all the time. If you go to the financial statement area, look at the financial statements of Facebook. Compare that with financial statements of consumer staples. For example, Procter and Gamble. What is the difference between the two? One is a technology company, one is a consumer staples company. What is the difference between them? How much long-term loans they have? If you compare, for example, the utilities companies, they because it is based on infrastructure, their debt level is very high. As compared to that, the technology companies do not need a lot of infrastructure. All their infrastructure is human beings. So therefore, they don't have a lot of debt and they have a lot of cash generated. Apple, for example, or Microsoft, they have billions of dollars right now in cash. And therefore, they can invest back into the technology. They can give it back to the investors. But utilities companies can't do that, right? So each sector is different. So once you know the sector very well, where you are working, you will have a really good understanding of your own situation in there. And the last thing that I want to share with you today, because I'm sure now you are bored listening to my Indian accent and this long lecture that I'm sharing with you, but I would like you to look into 6 things as a takeaway. When you are going for a job interview, I see that in Canada particularly, I'm honestly not sure about Indian market. Dilip sir, Shruti ma'am, Diksha ma'am, and Abhijit sir probably are in much better situation to guide you. But there are 6 things as a package. So it is good to call it a package deal. When you go for a job interview, you will probably chances are that they will look into your education background, but that's not the most important factor. It is one of the factors. So number one, make sure that you have good education, so you get good grades in the school. There is no option to that, right? You have to do good grades. I'm not saying you should get A plus all the time, but at least you should get B plus, A minus, that kind of grade. So work hard to do that. And by the way, all these excellent professors you have will help you understand what is their expectations if you want to get those grades. Number two, public speaking. Talk to people, understand what is effective public speaking, and for that you need to practice it, read online, and so on and so forth. Number three, leadership qualities. Leadership qualities come with some unique features or characteristics of the leader. I'm going to share the ones that I think are important. For example, to be a good leader, you need to be alert all the time about the environment, as I said. You need to have financially educated. You need to be confident. You need to have a very good network because you are not good in everything. So you need to be supported by people who are excellent in their fields. You need to have you need to have good health. So you need to take care of your body, your health, which will give really good confidence to you. You need to be a good human being. So that means you need to be helping people, do some volunteer work, give back to the society, do mentoring because you learn from that. Uh, as much as possible, listen more and talk less, because Dalai Lama has said that very clearly. If you're talking more and listening less, that means you are not learning anything new. So try to learn new when you meet someone, right? Next time when you go and meet with Dilip sir, try to learn something new from him, right? Apart from the courses, because Dilip sir brings so much industry value. Even Shruti ma'am, Diksha ma'am. So try to learn something from them outside of your regular thing. Uh, the other thing is try to do multitasking very effectively. Keep track of your tasks, prioritize them, work with someone to make sure the priorities are correct. And the last thing that I'm going to give you as a hint is basically you need to be a good communicator. And for that, you need to do good presentations and have a good speaking abilities, which probably need to be precise, concise, and very short. So you should be able to give your message in a very a short period of time. Those are the things that I came across as the leadership qualities. So number four thing I'm going to strongly suggest all of you is to volunteer. Work on a volunteer organization as a leader. Maybe you'll get an opportunity to work as a director of membership, you'll get director of finance, or maybe you'll get a board chairman, and that will give you a lot of leadership opportunities, how to run a meeting, how to manage finances, so on and so forth. Another thing, important thing is appearance and approach. So make sure your appearance is fantastic. You need to always come as positive. Big smile on your face. Your body language should be very positive. Need to be very well dressed, including your body smell. It should be, person should feel good in your company. So make sure that you are approaching someone in very, very positive manner. And the first impression is last impression. You all know that, right? So the person should remember you. When you go for job fairs, when you go for interviews, probably they are interviewing hundreds of candidates. How would they remember you? Do the follow up with them, try to follow up with them, try to meet with them, try to have a meeting just to do mentoring. Even if you don't get the job, be in contact with that person, provide some information to him or her through LinkedIn or through emails, things like that. And the last thing that I'm going to suggest as part of your personality improvement is your language. Have a good command over the language. English is my third language and French is fourth language. So I'm not going to say I'm a good communicator, but make sure that your message is very clear, well thought. You can speak fluently. Your message is getting across to the listeners, because they say that it's not what you say, but it's what they heard is more important, right? So that is the important thing. And it is same thing when you are learning from all these wonderful professors. As much as they are trying to give the message to you, see whether the message that you got is the message that they want to give you. Okay, try to be very positive. And I will tell you, if you try to remove the gap between the professors and you, it is a completely different world. They are so much different human beings than what you think. As a professor, they are all willing to help you. They are there to make sure that you are successful in your career. They want you to succeed and they want you to be a good human being in your life, and that's what their intention is. Finally, I'm going to give you some books which I'm going to share with Shruti ma'am, but these books help me in my life. Number one is, as I said, the 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. There is another book which I read, which was really good. It's called The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. The last book that I'm going to say, Who Stole My Cheese? This is a really wonderful small little book that will help you. Apart from that, I do have some other resources that I will share with Shruti ma'am, and I'm sure you'll find that useful. So on that note, I really want to thank all of you for your patience and your listening to me this morning. Probably it was boring. Some of you probably are already gone to sleep, because of the long speech. But I like to talk. I like to share my experiences. So I turn my video on. Shruti ma'am, I mean, I'm now open to take the questions.
Yes,
Again,
sir.
thank you very much for the opportunity for giving me the opportunity to come and talk to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, questions, please.
Yes, sir. We have a question from Abhishek. He wants to ask a question related to buying stocks in a fall, because those who have bought in the fall are in great profit, and some have risen to 2 times to 4 times. So his question is, as you said you were following the fall, why didn't you buy? And if you have bought, what aspects to keep in mind before making any decision?
So Abhishek, the question actually in my mind relates to the fundamentals of investing. Right? Uh, Normally, when I say I did not jump in, I did jump in, but I did not buy to the level that I wanted to buy. And the reason for that is I was not sure how further it's going to go down, because the pandemic had just started. There was an impact on the economy, and I was not sure what kind of economic packages would be announced and how the countries are going to deal with that. The main reason for that was the pandemic started in China, and as you know, a lot of the economy in the world is run by China. As a matter of fact, they have the largest gold holdings in the world, and they have also the largest holding of the US currency. So they have a big impact on the market. Because of those economic stimulus packages were not what clear, I was a bit hesitant to jump into the market. That being said, I did buy some stocks in the banking sector, for example, in the infrastructure sector and in the utilities sector. And the reason why I buy those stocks, I mean, I mentioned to you about banking and infrastructure, but in terms of utilities, because we are all home now, so the consumption of the utilities at home has gone up. We are all using telecommunications much more now than what we used in March. Same thing with the electricity and power and water and all that. So therefore, I bought utility stocks, and they all are doing really well. In terms of the selling the stocks, I always I'll admit to you, like I'm not very good in timing the market. I would love to, but I can't, and no one can for that matter, because no one knows what is the peak and what is the lowest point in the stock market. What I do is normally now, I changed my strategy over the years for sure. I used to buy a lot of technology stocks, but I noticed that I'm not at all technology savvy. So I don't know what is happening in the technology world. And what is working today may not work 2 years from now, because technology changes very fast. But what I learn is, if you buy stable stocks, for example, in India, there is Tata, there is SDFC banks. Now, those stocks are currently really good buy in my mind, because they are hit by the market. But when the market will come back, probably in 6 months or 8 months or whatever the time frame, these stocks will go back, because they are fundamentally solid. They have really good um, uh, good, strong management, strong business model. Their network is huge, so they are very well connected in the market, not just in India, but outside as well. So sometimes stock buying and selling stock becomes really emotional thing, which happens to me a lot of times, that I even though I don't want to, I get emotionally attached to the losses, and then I'm not able to sell it, and I'm not able to buy it as well, because I'm a bit scared of losing money on that. So I really hope, Abhishek, I answered your question on that.
Yes. Yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Next question. Yes, quickly. Please raise your hand and directly ask question.
As I said, you can always send an email to sorry, you can put your question in the chat, and then Shruti ma'am can let them
Yes,
let
yes.
me know later on, right? So that is also an option. You can connect with me on the LinkedIn and ask me questions from LinkedIn as well. So
Hello, sir.
yeah,
Sir, am I
hello.
audible?
Yeah, you are.
Hello, sir. My name is Shruti. Sir, the session was really insightful, and I love the tips that you gave. Really informative, and there were two learnings. Sir, I would like to ask you talked about positivity and everything, that exercise, keeping your mind calm, stress-free life, but sometimes things don't go as you planned them, and failures are there. So how to maybe handle that? So I would like you to comment on that as well.
So thanks for the question, Shruti, and thanks for your comment. I appreciated that. Actually, Shruti, those things happen every single day, right? We want to be positive, but there are sometimes things that happen around us, right? That make us start thinking negatively. We are all human beings, right? The way I deal with that is, number one is, do not react to any situation. Try to respond. What that means is that if you promptly give an answer, you're reacting. But if you are taking your time, take a pause, take 5-10 minutes to sit on it, or even sometimes we are mad at our parents sometimes, right? So because we are not sure why they did that, and then or our friends, right? So if you sit back and think about it, then you probably start thinking more about the whole situation rather than your own reaction to the situation. Then second thing is that when you're thinking about those things, you also need to think positively about the other good things that are happening around you. That being said, there are going to be negative things. What happens is, with the negative things, they impact you more and if they stay with you, the negative thing continues to be negative for long time, right? So it is better to try to forget about it. Therefore, the way to do that, what I do is actually go away, do something else. For example, if I had a bad meeting, then I will, first of all, I'll talk less during that meeting. Then I'll after the meeting, I'll take a pause. I will do my 1 minute breathing exercise that I do, and then I'll go and grab a cup of tea, and then I will do something else completely. And then I come back, and then my perception has changed. Either I have decided to neglect the situation, or I have learned something from the situation so that I will not do it going forward in my life. But Shruti, it is very important in the young age to stay positive. I learned those things throughout my life, and I started thinking about it. That's why I lost all my hair along the journey. But if I would have learned it before, probably I would have been full of hair. But to make the things actually really work, I think it all ends with the positive things. And the more you stay with the positive minded people, the more you think about positive things, listening to the positive music, everything that you do positive in your life, you'll see it is positive. And trust me, I have experienced it personally. Positive things will happen to you because of that, because you don't take anything negatively. That's a big difference in my mind. That makes
All
sense,
right.
Shruti?
Yes, sir, it does. Apart from that, also, what if we go wrong in any business decision? So how can we, I don't know, correct it, but what remedies to take after that?
What was the first part of the question, Shruti? Sorry, I did not understand. Sorry.
Um, we talked about failure in life, but what if
Yeah.
our decisions go wrong when we are in a business? So any business decision uh, going wrong. So what remedies can we take after that? Any business decision going, maybe some
Yeah.
investment or anything.
You're right, Shruti, that happens now. I mean, I did some small businesses in my life. Some of them did not work. Fortunately, I did not put a lot of money in there. But I do have investment properties here in Canada, and I look at them as business. So the important thing for any business is, first of all, you need to know the financial part of it, right? So you have to do some legwork before the business actually starts, right? So if you do your financial, so they call it Porter's five forces. Do you know that? So it is actually environmental scan. You do the environmental scan. You also do the threat and risk assessment on that, right? You probably have done that. There are threats and there are risks and there are opportunities, that are in the market. So look at that. So do your study in a manner that gives you the understanding of then also keep like in your business case, you should know what you're expecting from the business. Okay, is it like in 2 years you want to be profitable? Is it the 3 years that you want to be profitable? So on and so forth, right? So you need to have that mindset in your mind. You can do the comparative analysis. You can go to for example, in Pune, I know if you go to Marathi Chamber of Commerce, they have excellent information on small businesses. So you need to do your study. The other thing for the success of the small business is you need to be supported by a very good network. You need to have good lawyer. You need to have good bank manager that are supporting you. You need to have good people in that field. If it is in the field that you are not familiar with, that you need. And the most important thing, you need to have a good mentor who can help you each step of the way. After doing all this, you might fail in the business, right? So the trick for that in my mind is that, first of all, do not put a lot of money into the business that you don't know, right? Because if you fail in that business, then it's going to be difficult to recoup that money, right? Then because you started something that you did not know in first place. Um, but the important thing is that not to feel negative about it, because you learn a lot from that experience, right? It is easier for me to say because there is a financial loss that cannot be recovered. It is funny because you're asking that, because in stock market I have lost money, so it's not that I'm gaining all money all the time, but every time I lose money, next time when I make money in another stock, I tell my wife, hey, you know what? Now I made money, so now it is balanced out. She says, no, the loss you made is loss, and the profit you made is profit. So in her mind, it is black and white. So that will stay there. The money you lost is lost. It's not going to be, but you learn from it, right? You learn some good life experiences, how people behave, what is the thing that you did not do right, what you could have done to make it a successful venture. Maybe it was not for you, for example, maybe the whole business thing is not for you. That's why the personality test is very, very important. I noticed that for business, you can't be like, for example, in my case, my personality type is helper. So I am a very emotional person, and I can get emotionally attached to people very easily. So you can't be a businessman if you get emotionally attached, because you need to keep business aside from the emotions, and that is a big challenge for me. So therefore, I'm not a good business person. I can probably manage people very well, but I probably not a good and risk taking ability, because my wife won't let me take that kind of risk anyway, right? So you will learn all those things from the failure. That's what it is. I mean, there are inevitable things that you cannot avoid, but it is learning that you get from there, right? So okay, so hope that makes sense, Shruti.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much for
You're
this
welcome,
detailed
Shruti.
answer.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Any other question?
Yes, sir, we have a question from Abhishek again. So he says that, can you please elaborate the point where you said compare the balance sheets of two companies from different sector? How this could help in analysis?
So as you know, each sector is different, right? If you ask me, for example, let me ask you one question as finance students. Income statement, what is the big difference? And this, you don't have to answer it now, but Sam, I'm sure Shruti madam would like to know the answer from you. If you look at the income statement of a company, there is revenue and there is cost of goods sold, and then there is gross profit, and then there is other expenses, and then you come to the net income. That is what your financial statement look like. So when I ask you to compare the financial statements, that's what I would like you to do. Revenues, what is the difference between the revenues of a company like Procter and Gamble and a company like Microsoft? Microsoft revenues are coming from licenses, and Procter and Gamble revenues are coming from day-to-day products that we use in our day-to-day life across the globe, right? Microsoft is also across the globe. So they have different revenue streams that are coming in because they are different product lines. Then if you look at the cost of goods sold, Microsoft cost of goods sold, there is no manufacturing in Microsoft per se, right? Because it's a software company. But in Procter and Gamble, they have a lot of manufacturing, they have supply chain management, so there is a logistic part into it, and they need to consider all that when they are when they look at the cost of goods sold. So therefore, in the cost of goods sold, you will have the fixed value and the variable, so the fixed cost and the variable cost. You will see what is the difference between that. For Microsoft, maybe the fixed costs are probably because it's a technology company, their fixed costs are related to probably infrastructure such as building, for example, right? That they're buying, but they might have a more variable cost because they probably are spending more on their employees, right? Because the salary part could be much higher. So you need to do that comparative analysis when you take two different businesses, and then you can look into the for example, if you look at the balance sheet, you can also look at the asset part of it. You can look into the long-term debts, short-term debts, long-term receivables, short-term receivables, those kind of things, to compare them side by side. That will help you understand the business model. I'm saying this because a lot of people don't do this. It is a very straightforward thing, and probably as part of your education so far, you have learned about financial statements. So rather than keeping it to the book, rather than keeping it to the exam, it would be wonderful to apply that to your real life. I think this is the difference that I do when for example, when I teach my course in management accounting in September, I ask them to do this analysis as part of the study. I will give them, for example, in Canada, we have the coffee store, which is Starbucks, for example, which is a US chain, and we have Tim Hortons, which is a Canadian chain. But a cup of coffee in Tim Hortons is around $1.60, but a cup of coffee in Starbucks is $2. So my question to my students is why? Why do you think the coffee is costing $1.50 in Tim Hortons, $1.60, and why it is $2 in Starbucks? So they need to know that, right? As students, you need to do that analysis in your mind. So sorry. as part of your master students, because you are at master's level, you are supposed to analyze now. You are not supposed to do problem solving, which anyone can do by keeping the book in front of you. Now you are supposed to take that problem and apply it to the real life situation and make use of that going forward. That's my 2 cents on that. So hope that makes sense.
Yes, thank you, sir.
You're welcome, Shruti.
So, sir, now I would like to invite Nikita to present the vote of thanks.
Yes, thank you, Pradyum. It's my immense pleasure to present the vote of thanks. I, Nikita, on behalf of IMDR, would like to thank you, sir, for giving us your valuable time. Sir, your experiences, thoughts, and stories have really inspired us. I would like to highlight some of the points you mentioned in this session. First, we must always be curious about things forward. And last but not the least, I thank all my student colleagues without whom the session would not have been successful. Thank you.